Friday, and tonight his highly anticipated tell-all should be making the Clinton campaign very nervous tonight. In his brand new book, Crisis of Character, a White House Secret Service officer discloses his firsthand experience with Hillary, Bill, and how they operate. Gary Byrne details what the Clintons are like, far away from the public eye. Now, he has a lot to share, so let's get things started. Joining us now on an exclusive is former Secret Service officer Gary Byrne. How are you? Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Sean.
You wanted to be a Secret Service officer your whole life.
I did.
Yeah, but
I did.
And you got that coveted job right in front of the Oval Office.
I did. It came true. Yeah, it was great.
Pretty amazing. I know that the left is going to smear, slander, besmirch you. You're ready for that, right?
Sure, I am. And it's already started.
It's already started.
Yeah.
Before the book comes out. You know, I love how they smear you before they even know what you wrote.
Yeah.
I'm going to start at the end of the book, because
Sure.
you talk about why you wrote this book. You said, what I learned from the Clintons firsthand the hard way is important. In 2016, she's running again, and you felt compelled to tell the story because why? Let me ask that.
Because I want Americans to know what the real Clinton administration is like. Mrs. Clinton is not a leader. She's a very, very angry person all the time. I've seen many instances that I talk about in my book, Crisis of Character, where she displays this holier-than-thou attitude, do as I say, not as I do. She's a dictator. She comes across as a dictator. I've seen her berate many people, and myself included. And I've never seen any example that would lead me to believe that she could lead this country.
As a result of this year-long study, I'm announcing today that we're ending the ban on transgender Americans in the United States military. Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly, and they can no longer be discharged or otherwise separated from the military just for being transgender. There are three main reasons having to do with our future force, our current force, and matters of principle. The first and fundamental reason is that the Defense Department and the military need to avail ourselves of all talent possible in order to remain what we are now, the finest fighting force the world has ever known. Our mission is to defend this country, and we don't want barriers unrelated to a person's qualification to serve preventing us from recruiting or retaining the soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine who can best accomplish the mission. About 2,500 people out of approximately 1.3 million active duty service members, and about 1,500 out of approximately 825,000 reserve service members are transgender.
3 suicide bombers killed at least 41 people in Tuesday's attack. They had grenades, suicide vests, and automatic weapons. The violence wounded 239 others. 1 American was slightly injured. Holly Williams is inside Istanbul's Ataturk airport with new details of the massacre. Holly, good morning.
Good morning. An airport official here today told us that the 3 suicide bombers detonated themselves in different parts of the airport. And you can see damage from one of the blasts just behind me. The Turkish Prime Minister Binali Yildirim says there are indications this was the work of ISIS. And US officials have told us the evidence leans in that direction. But so far, there's been no claim of responsibility.
At the end of 2015, more than 65 million people were displaced worldwide, over half of them children. That is the highest number on record since the UN's Refugee Agency started collecting statistics. We're asking governments to make a deeper commitment to funding UN and humanitarian organizations and appeals, increasing overall contributions by at least 30%. Second, we're asking governments to commit to welcoming more refugees into their countries with the goal of doubling the number of refugee admission slots worldwide. Third, we are asking frontline countries who already are hosting considerable numbers of refugees with awe-inspiring generosity to do even more, allowing the refugees they host greater opportunities to become more self-reliant. We are the leading donor of humanitarian aid, contributing more than $5.1 billion for the Syrian conflict alone, and we will continue to provide robust support. And not only are we scaling up our resettlement efforts to admit 15,000 additional refugees this year, but we will scale up by 15,000 more next year to admit 100,000 refugees overall. That's a 40% increase in just 2 years.
Here at home, health experts just revealing Florida's first infant born with a Zika-related birth defect. The child's mother is from Haiti, came to Florida to give birth. That infant now suffering from the debilitating condition known as microcephaly. The question now, what's being done to stop the virus from spreading, and does it change what expecting parents should be doing?
ABC Action News reporter Clifton French is live outside of Tampa General Hospital, where he just spoke with a doctor who specializes in these types of high-risk pregnancies. Clifton?
Yeah, that doctor tells me that people need to be doing exactly what they've already been preaching. That's mothers and their partners. Now, all of that information is available at your fingertips at the CDC website, but this case shows just how serious that Zika concern is.
It's a pretty devastating diagnosis, actually.
Spread by mosquitoes and as a sexually transmitted disease, the Zika virus usually isn't much of a threat unless you're pregnant. Zika's linked to microcephaly. Dr. Stephanie Romero explains that's when the brain doesn't fully develop.
It's not so much that the head is abnormally small, it's that there's not enough brain tissue inside to justify the enlarging head.
Up to this point, Zika was simply a warning here in Florida. There have been cases of the virus, but no birth defects. Its effects now a reality. One baby born with microcephaly.
Long-term developmental delays, mental retardation, long-term consequences for this baby.
If we can stop the mosquitoes, we can make sure that we don't have a expansion of more Zika cases in our state.
Governor Scott spoke about the case earlier today. He says the state has allocated more than $25 million to fight Zika. Still, Washington has yet to act. The president's requested $1.9 billion. A bill for $1.1 billion didn't pass because of disagreements between Democrats and Republicans. Tonight, doctors are urging expecting parents to do their part. And that part includes not traveling to countries where Zika is spreading, wearing bug spray, covering up when you go outside, and staying indoors in air conditioning as much as possible. Now, the good news here is that there has been no transmission of Zika right here. I'm reporting live in Tampa. Clifton French, ABC Action News.
Clifton, thank you. And the virus's presence in Florida just keeps growing. The state confirming 4 new travel-related cases. That makes a total of 227 cases now in the state. 19 of them are here in the Bay Area. Doctors confirming the Zika virus in 265 pregnant women across the U.S., and 40 of those cases are here in Florida.
The green ooze seen from above Florida's coast prompted a state of emergency. The severe algae bloom on the St. Lucie River responsible for shutting down several beaches in South Florida just before the busy 4th of July weekend.
Trying to breathe in that.
Dramatic footage caught on cell phone camera shows manatees struggling to move through the thick slime.
Just want some clean water.
Good Samaritans do their best to rinse the manatee off, fighting to breathe.
Watch your head.
Senator Bill Nelson wanting to get a look for himself, hopping on a boat in order to assess the algae bloom, which is fairly common in these waters when dirty overflow water is diverted from Lake Okeechobee.
You know, these things are going to crop up as long as we have to release water out of a polluted lake, and that's what Lake Okeechobee is. As long as we have to release water, then we're going to have this pollution problem with the nutrients growing.
Look, folks, here it is. 100%
horror.
Captain Rufus Wakeman says the thick cover on top of the water is hurting his fishing business. He's unable to rely on the river.
Oh, it's bad. It's all bad. You know, our way of life here in Stuart, Florida is dictated by the river. We have a lot of people who enjoy our waterways, and without good, clean water, they can't. When you show up at a boat ramp and you got a high bacteria sign there, game over.
Following this bloom, a spokesman for the Army Corps of Engineers says they plan to limit the outflow from Lake Okeechobee.
The public overwhelmingly supports this. We're seeing that. And this behind me is evidence of that public support.
Our schools would benefit from the tens of millions of dollars that we're going to bring in for that revenue. But for me, you know, the issue really is safety, because regulating marijuana is going to make Arizona a safer place for my daughter and my grandchildren.
And really long process. I'm very happy to be here. And like in some cases, maybe this thing is covered.